Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Oh, look, I'm all dark. I need to turn on the light, guys. There we go. All right, so how you guys doing? We have had some interesting moves overnight to the charts. So we've got the Treasuries moved down pretty significantly overnight. I was quite surprised at how much further they moved. Of course, I was a little bit surprised at how much they moved in the afternoon. But then it appears that it was rejected and we're back up just a little bit above where we closed yesterday. I really think that they could get down to 10. I really think that 10 is a worthwhile spot. But we'll see. Also, I would keep out... there's a big order over here at 14. If you look at that. Anyways, the E-mini had a good little boost, but then came back, and I believe that this is because of comments from China. Okay, so that's kind of the setup today. It's Thursday. Thursday can be okay trading, so there's that. And I'm forgetting here. Where is, I have so many things open that I don't need anymore. Don't need you. Live dashboard, that's good. Don't need you. Bitcoin, no thanks. Tensor charts. Refresh. Oh, they did move a little bit lower on BitMEX. Interesting. News block. I think he's just talking about the news that we got coming up here. So we've got the usual Thursday news, but which is unemployment claims. We're expecting 220,000. But also we get final GDP quarter over quarter, expecting a reading of 3.1, and the price index a reading of spot 8 versus a previous reading of spot 8. Yes. Yeah, he was just talking about the news coming. Some iceberging at 21 early. That's interesting. And what else? Treasuries look pretty comfortable where they're at right now. So we'll see how that goes. Something is wrong with these. I need to come in here and look at tape. Sigma period 14. Sure. Should be giving me stuff. Why is it not giving me stuff? Now it's giving me stuff. Cool. Yeah, 7 minutes. Oh yes, one other thing that we need to do is we need to change this. Refresh. Because it probably is still talking, yep, debate. So, it is the 27th. We don't need the NBC stream anymore. Cool. Beto O'Rourke on speaking Spanish in last night's debate. I think that it's important that we listen to and speak to everyone in this country, including those who happen to speak or prefer to speak Spanish. If this democracy is going to work, then everyone has to be included. So, riddle me this, Mr. O'Rourke. What percentage of your constituency speaks or would prefer to speak Spanish? And what percentage of your constituency really couldn't care less? Yeah, change that title. No one cares about the Democrats. Come on, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. Well, we got 5 minutes. So I'll tell you what I think here. If I was a Democrat, I would be very concerned about what I saw last night. There are two things that I saw that I think that Democrats should be concerned about. The first one is that the candidates do not seem to have adjusted to a post-Trump political world at all. So you can tell just by what is the propaganda lines coming out of the pro-liberal outlets this morning. So, for instance, I saw an article from Mother Jones said this was the most substantive debate that we've ever had. Nonsense. Okay. In a debate, there are four things that you want to get across. One, you want to grab people's attention. Two, you want to target and expand your constituencies. Three, you want to build a brand. And four, you want to differentiate yourself from other candidates. Donald Trump does all of these things extremely effectively when he comes out and he attacks somebody else, right? He catches your attention. He says something that people remember. He shows that he is a part of your tribe and that he's going to be the one that's going to fight for you in your constituency, and the other person is not. So there's differentiation in there as well. And he brands the other person, so he differentiates himself, right? So the Democrats, they don't seem to understand this. They go and they do a question, and they're like, oh, what do you think about climate change? Well, Bob, let me tell you an anecdotal story about some person in Connecticut. And then maybe I will say something about policy in the last 5 seconds of my answer when you tell me that I'm running out of time, right? So they just don't get it. And if they get into a debate with Donald Trump, he's just going to steamroll them. But the second thing that I would be concerned about is that they were very clearly trying to push Elizabeth Warren. And one, I don't think that Elizabeth Warren would be a very strong general election candidate. But two, they're still trying to play these games where they think that they can influence their electorate and push them towards a certain candidate. And it's very obvious that they're trying to do this with Elizabeth Warren. And I think that the Democrat Party, I think that people are going to notice and that they're going to be upset. So, yeah, we'll see tonight. I think that some of these other candidates might do a little bit better on these things. But I would say that the debate was a pretty big disaster for Democrats for those reasons. Probably only 3 of those people really deserve to be in the next debate. So that's what's going on. We got less than a minute here. Let me just make sure I got everything set up here correctly. Yes, I do. Oh, and I should also make sure that I've got minimize Bitcoin here, even though I know Bitcoin is doing crazy things and we need to watch it. Bum, bum, bum. Well, here in ZN, I think that I could probably do something like this. Okay, so there's the news. Not much of a reaction. It looks like the GDP is coming in as expected at 3.1. Not a huge fan of how that happened. Is the price index lower? Okay, price index was actually a little bit higher than expected. It was spot 9. There was 227 in unemployment claims. We're gonna ditch this if we can. Maybe it doesn't really matter because it's spot 9 versus spot 8, but that is not favor higher. I'm actually a little surprised that my order got triggered in. Yeah. E-mini doesn't seem to be reacting to it too strongly either. Here's an interesting note from 538. Cory Booker spoke the most words on night one of the first Democrat debates. Beto O'Rourke was second. Elizabeth Warren was third. Chuck Todd, one of the moderators, spoke just 4 words less than Warren and more words than 7 candidates on the stage. Chuck, that doesn't look good on you, Chuck. Democrats split on how far left to nudge nation is the headline from the New York Times. Break of the overnight low, downside target 154.15 if she goes for it. Well, I do think that I want to be short here, potentially. But I'm noticing too much interest in this 22.5 area. And I think that we may get stuck here a little bit. Where did I get triggered in at? 24. Yeah. That's what I thought. Whole lot of nothing news, huh? Yeah. Like I said, I'm actually a little bit surprised that my my buy, my stop limit buy got triggered the way that it did. That was a pretty bad. My plan failed catastrophically, didn't it? Stinju, is that Stijnu? I don't know how to say that, but welcome. I'm getting a lot more people on Twitch. I stream to multiple platforms. I'm getting a lot more people on Twitch lately, and I really appreciate it. So welcome to the gang. Welcome to the room. What is this? I think I'm going to get filled at 22.5. No. I'm a little concerned that I wouldn't. But we'll try it. Why are you linking me? Of course I know Facebook. Oh, hey, yeah. Well, that is my Facebook page. How did you find it? Oh, hey, I got triggered in. Perfect. Yeah, I'm pretty, what is the word? Well, it may be a story instead, but, I've been doing online since I was like a kid, and I discovered very early on that if people really, really want to know who you are, it's easy for them to find it. If you've been around in any location for, a period of time, right? If you develop a presence, then people can dox you, essentially. And so I decided very early on that, if I was going to really try and post stuff on the internet, that I was just a public figure. So I really don't have a problem with people knowing where my Facebook is or who I am. Of course, other personal information would be, bad on. Not you shouldn't have that stuff. But that is my Facebook page. Although I have a page just for this, for Speculator Seth. So if you want to follow me on Facebook, it's probably better to go and follow that, because if you request me on Facebook, I'm probably not going to know who you are, and I'm probably just going to ignore it. I'm wondering, maybe he knows it because I posted in some of the trading Facebook groups. Magic, want to know this? No, I would like... It interests me because I've never spoken to you. I don't think I've spoken to you before. Maybe I have. But I don't think I've spoken to you before. And so I'm more interested in how did you come across the channel? You know what I mean? Want to know, what avenues are finding people and that sort of a thing. When I found you on Facebook, it wasn't hard. I just typed your YouTube handle in the search bar. Really? That's interesting. Oh. Oh, yes, because I would post links to my YouTube on my Facebook page, and so those show up, and it associates me. Interesting. Effing Big Brother, man. Well, the thing is I don't use my Facebook nearly as much. You can see, for instance, I posted something about the debate yesterday. Those political posts get almost no reaction anymore. I posted something else controversial and some people said stuff, but so it's not like my people aren't seeing it. It's just like nobody on Facebook cares anymore, guys. It's going offer, but they aren't hitting me at 21.5. I think, though, for the trade that I'm trying to make, I think that 22.5 was probably a good spot. It may go into me a little bit. Let's see. Come on. Do it. I bailed on Facebook 2 months ago. I still have a profile to moderate our business page if necessary, but I ain't logged into it in 2 months. Yeah. What's this? The link, whoever have Facebook and press the link goes to their own Facebook page. So that's the secret. Oh, I got you. So you found my Speculator Seth Facebook page, and then it showed you who the owner of that was. Am I understanding that right? Okay, so do not like that they're hitting into 23. Do not like. Even he come down a little bit there though. What's with that? Suck. I think too many people had the same idea I did, and they're probably going to come up and try and stop me out before they move lower. I think that may be what's going on here. Iran newspaper reporter, Iraqi sources say influential Shiite political leader Muqtada al-Sadr, a critic of both U.S. and Iranian presidents in Iraq, has traveled to Tehran on an unofficial trip. He had earlier surprised observers by visiting Saudis. He was also interested in mediation. Social media takes editorial positions, so it isn't fun anymore. Yeah, I agree. No, it's totally, that's totally what they're doing, right? I'm gonna give this a little bit more room so I can see more of your comments at any one time. Like the thing, Facebook for me hasn't been fun ever since they changed the algorithm to limit your reach. So did you know that organically you can't reach more than like 100 of your followers? So like if you have thousands of people on your page, only like 100 people see it, and they do that so that you have to pay them to boost your posts. So basically they throttle everybody. It used to be really fun when we were using it to like share music and promote our music and stuff. And when that stuff died down, because the thing that was cool about Facebook to me was that I could go and see what my friends were doing and creating and try and like help support them. So it was like, oh, Seth, he has a YouTube channel and he streams live every day, and I can go and I can visit it and help him out. And that was really fun. And now if I post that sort of thing on Facebook, they limit the number of people that see it, and it's not even worth posting. You can see I posted that. Nobody likes it. It's not worth it anymore. If I had posted that back in 2008, I probably would have gotten a couple of likes and views from it. I used to be able to get a good 200 views on a new music video from our page and promotion and everything, and then they changed everything and it just totally killed it. I've been on the internet for 25 years now. It was fun when we could say whatever we wanted and no one knew who we were. Now, if you fart on the internet, Twitter will rampage. Well, I always, I have a... hold on. What is this Anton Creel thing? Whoever says summer is a quiet time in markets has less opportunities to make money clearly wasn't educated at the Institute. 782K trading Australian Euro futures in 2 months. I know that name. Who is he? I forget who the Institute is. Institute of Trading. I know. That is another one of those, hey, that's a mighty fine claim of profits. Can you show us all of your trades and your stats? Because you might be full of shit. Anyways, a damn status can ruin your whole life. Who wants to mess with that stuff? Yeah. Well, so I have a mixed feelings on that, because I remember back in the day I would post on gaming forums, and we had a pretty tight-knit community. It was a sort of thing where it was like every Friday and Saturday I would get online and play with these guys for like up to 4 hours. And we had the voice chat and everything. So I felt like we were like pretty close, and it wasn't like we were like super good friends with everybody. Some people liked each other and some people didn't, but it was still a community, and there was a group of users on that forum that they were more liberally minded people, and they were extremely irreverent is what I would say. They weren't very respectful to other users. Oh, good. I got filled finally. Thank you. They weren't very respectful to other users, and they were constantly trolling and starting arguments and personal attacks whenever they started arguments, and bad language and things like that. And I'm just like, a 16-year-old Mormon kid, right? So of course that's going to get to me. But I kind of always associated people on the left with that kind of behavior. I felt like South Park, for instance, even though it was libertarianly minded, it was kind of more liberal, which I now realize is wrong. I felt that somethingawful.com was just a giant, troll, and that it was a cancer on the internet, and that we should get rid of that nonsense. And then all of a sudden, it was like everything turned around. And now all of a sudden, the liberal people were the ones that were trying to police everybody and saying, you're not being very nice, and all of this sort of stuff. I think that what happened was that when the general populace came in, we find out that liberals tend to be higher in the conscientiousness. And it was just those tech savvy people that didn't care about that sort of a stuff. And I still want people to be respectful. I think that there's certain things that, if you want to have a good community, you got to have stuff, right? Like if all our community was insulting each other and saying mean things, I don't think that people would really want to stick around for very long, right? But I try and be laissez-faire about it, right? I think it's worked really well for us because, I have so much of it is more about my own brand, and I'm generally pretty nice, and so I think that I attract people that are really nice, and I think that you are all really great people, right? But I try to be laissez-faire about it. But then you get into the larger internet and you get on Facebook, and they're trying to enforce these kinds of policies on a site-wide basis, much more strictly than we ever tried to do it when we were, on the gaming forums. And the problem is that it hasn't just been about being nice. It's like having certain political positions are now considered being not nice. Like this thing yesterday about the immigrant who died in the river, right? If you're a conservative, because that picture was posted, you're evil now. If you have conservative views, or you think that we should enforce our border laws, you're killing people. Did you watch that debate where the guy was introducing the issue of immigration, and he was like, people are dying, and he always emphasized the word dying. It was really quite pathetic, I thought. Like, good grief, have some self-respect. Of course, if you're concerned about that issue, it's totally okay to try and pull on people's heartstrings and get them to change their mind about things and stuff like that. But man, to be so like the way that he said it was just so like, oh, I totally know that I'm trying to manipulate people, and I'm just trying to like dramatize it as much as possible. Right. And this is like what social media has become. I don't think that that's a very sustainable business in that kind of situation. Okay, so that ended up being a break-even trade. Interesting that was able to go against me like that. But that's what I was concerned about when we got into that area, that it seemed like there was just too much spoofing and so forth going on around there. It's a really simple, ancient solution. Let people moderate themselves. I don't know. So, like, here's the thing: is that when was it? It was something around, like, I want to say sometime around 2012 or so, that people on social media started to do things that I felt were a little dangerous, you know? If you do something illegal and die, I'm not sympathetic. Play a stupid game, and win a stupid prize. YouTube Revealed says. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the way that I feel about it. I have to put the disclaimer out that at the beginning, it's very sad that a person died. But to try and blame the person dying on the other party is very disgraceful, in my opinion. I think it's a very shameful direction that they've taken politics. Who won the debate? Okay, so I think the person in the debate that helped themselves the most was Julian Castro. And here's why. Remember, here's how I would watch primary debates. Okay, there are four things. There are four things that you want to look for. These are the four most important things that a candidate needs to do in a primary debate. Okay, and especially a primary debate like this one with so many people. Excuse me. Okay, first one is you have to grab people's attention. Okay, when you give your answer, you've got about 3 seconds. If you don't say something meaningful in those first 3 seconds, people turn off. Even if they're people like me that are really interested in politics, they literally turn off. Just as you could tell when I was watching last night, a lot of the time I would like watch what they were saying and then I would go into a comment because it just what they were saying just wasn't interesting. You know? Lucas says, morning not quite the best of actions. Yeah, I think that they want to take it lower, but it seems to me like the market makers want to accumulate up here first because I'm seeing a lot of spoofing. Anyways, you got about 3 seconds to say something. And then if you say something meaningful in those first 3 seconds, then you have their attention and you can go into other stuff. Okay. This is important because this is why Beto O'Rourke totally blew it. They would give him a question and they gave him some really good opportunities to talk. And what did he do? He started it like it was a high school essay. Well, I remember when I was in blah, 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 blah. You've lost people already. Nobody cares anymore at that point, right? So that's the first thing, okay? The number two thing is you need to have a game plan for targeting constituencies, all right? Remember, politics is the art of getting more people to agree with you. That's what it really is about. So if you can say something that is going to get more people to join your coalition, that's what you're trying to do in a primary debate. Now, in a primary debate, this is hard because everybody already believes what you believe. And everybody else on the stage already believes what you believe. So how are you going to convince people that they should be voting for you instead of the other guy? Well, the way that you got to do it is you've got to show them that you're on their side. Okay? This is why Julian Castro did such a good job. He targeted the social justice warrior constituency. And the way that he did that, he used their language. He talked about their issues. He talked about their people, like naming names in particular, where he talked about the people that had been killed by police. And they just rolled off the tongue. I didn't even know who most of those people are. I think probably I had heard those stories before, but just forgot the names. But I was like, oh, I've never heard of any of these people before. Where is he going with this? Okay. But the social justice warriors, they know those names. And they heard that and they were immediately like, this is my guy. He's from my tribe because only the people from my tribe know these things, right? You look at Elizabeth Warren. I mean, Elizabeth Warren had a good presence and everything like that. And we'll talk about that in a second. But did she really target a constituency and expand her, her team? Did she expand her team? I don't think that she really did. I think that she just had an okay performance and that she kind of kept things even. I think that this debate may actually hurt her in the polls just because some of the people that are gravitating towards her might end up being more interested in other candidates temporarily, but it's probably not a meaningful thing. Okay. Anyways, number 3 thing. I should use this hand because it's much easier to see. Number 3 thing. Branding. Okay. You have a brand. You want to have a brand, and that's part of how you attract people. And the way that you talk, the way that you hold yourself, the issues that you decide to push for and don't push for, that becomes your brand. That's why Donald Trump is so good as a politician in debates. Okay. Now, think about some of the brand. So, for instance, Bill de Blasio, right? What is his brand? His brand is, I'm a really fucking annoying liberal that likes to interject myself in there and yell at people. Is that a very good brand to have? I don't think so. I know people like that on Facebook. Nobody likes those people. It's a very poor brand that he showed on the debate stage. I had never seen any video of him in person before. I understand now why people in New York hate him so much. Hold on a second. What are you guys saying about the market here? That guy's legit. He got a good record in history in the industry. Oh, the person that was tweeting. It's a version of MACD. No one has histogram and has Bollinger Bands around the MACD. Oh, gotcha. They're talking about John's indicator. Okay, so brand is important. What did Elizabeth Warren do? So Elizabeth Warren has a really big challenge because she's a woman, right? Because the challenge being a female presidential candidate is always there's this balance between being passionate and looking angry. And if you are a woman, people don't give you as much leeway on being angry. I think that she was able to pull a pretty good balance on that Democrats will accept. I'm not so sure that shtick will run so well in the primary campaign. I think that if she became the candidate and that was the debate, I think that some people would be scared, and I think that shtick would probably engage Republicans more than it would Democrats. But I could be wrong about that. It's really hard to know. It's just a guess. But anyways, she was able to do a pretty good balance, and she has her brand, right? Because her brand is like corporate issues, right? That's what she knew as she did business law. So when she's talking about, certain companies need to be broken up and why and things like that, that was very strong for her brand. So she did a very good job with that, right? Most of these other people, they really didn't, okay? And then the last thing is differentiation. Right? You have to, because it's a primary debate, you need to show people why you're different. There was a lot of people saying, when I become president, I'm going to do this thing and this thing. And it's like, okay, but everybody for the past 30 years has said that they're going to do that and they didn't. What is it about you that's different? They're going to make them, that's going to make them be the person that's successful in this endeavor. And I don't think that any of those candidates were able to do that. A good example was the climate change debate. Democrats were excited to talk about climate change. Like when I looked on Twitter and they were like, oh, we're going to talk about climate change. And everybody was like, yay, we're so happy because this is the most existential problem. Some of these people are more concerned about climate change than they should be. Okay. It's not the end of the world. They believe it's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. But they were excited to talk about it. When you come out of that, what are the different candidates' positions on these things? I don't think that they did a very good job differentiating themselves. Right. So let's take this back to the thing that I said before the news, and just reiterate since we got more people here. I saw two things that I would be concerned about if I was a Democrat. And the first one is that these candidates just seem to not understand that. Tonight, free stuff will be offered and they will win the young voters. We'll see. This is a problem. We are in a post-Trump political world. What does that mean? Donald Trump understood those four things that you need to have in a debate, particularly the branding. These candidates are still lamenting the death of politics. They're still thinking, well, if I have the most substantive policies, then that should be the thing that pushes me over the top. Guess what? Most voters don't care about policy. They think that they do. But the truth is that humans are just not self-aware enough to know what it is that motivates them, what it is that causes them to pick one candidate over the other. And the truth is that branding is the most significant factor. It really is. And if you don't brand yourself well first, you never even get the chance to tell them what your policy is. And you never get the chance to convince people on policy, because that's what politics is, right? Remember, politics is the art of getting more people on your side. That's what politics is. If your thing is about policy, then really what you're saying is, I'm just going to say what I believe, and I'm going to attract all the other people out there that already believe what I do. That's not enough. Not in today's world. You have to convince people. And the Democrat Party did not learn this lesson from the last election. I think that most of the Republican candidates probably did, because they were in the primary with him and they can see why they failed and why he did so well. But the Democrats are still in this la-la land where it was like, well, the only reason that we lost was because of Republican interference. And if we just be the most serious party, then we'll win. And I think that's a pipe dream. The second thing that I think that Democrats should be concerned about was that NBC did not, and really the media afterwards, seemed to not be shy at all about trying to influence the results of this primary. They are 100% trying to push Elizabeth Warren. No question about it. They gave her way more questions. There's all this press about her, about what she said, even though she didn't really say anything that she hasn't said before. She didn't have any really memorable moments. They're totally trying to push her. And it's like the debate was really more of like a showcase. The NBC set it up to be like a showcase of the Democrat Party. You notice if there was a candidate and that was their issue, then they would ask that candidate about that issue, and then they didn't give them much opportunity to talk beyond that. The only ones that got to talk a ton were Booker and Beto, because they kept interjecting themselves everywhere. But otherwise, it was like, oh, okay, we're talking about immigration now, so of course we have to start asking the Mexican questions. That was, I apologize. That wasn't a very respectful way to say it. But, it was like that since it's immigration, we have to bring the Hispanic in. And that was their time to highlight Julian Castro. But it wasn't like, okay, maybe Julian Castro can win. It was almost like an afterthought, like, well, we already know who is going to win. We just want to make sure that, the party can see who else is in there so that they like the Democrat Party or something like that, right? And people are going to reject that. If you try and put your foot on the pedal, you try and influence the debate from the media perspective like that, you're weakening your party. because you're not giving them the opportunity to truly battle it out and test each other, right? The candidate that wins because he was boosted there and because the party eventually they came to an amicable agreement about who the nominee should be. I know that that's the way that some politicals think that it should be, but that's a poor way to do it. The way that you should do it is like what the Republican Party had last election. A no holds barred fight to the death. That's what it needs to be, because that's what the general election is. And people they're smarter. They're smart. I don't want to say smarter compared to what. I think that people are smarter than we give them credit for. And when they're being manipulated in that way now with mass media, I think that they catch it. So, Beto irritated me speaking Spanish with no translation. Yeah. Well, and the thing is so here's the problem that I had with the speaking Spanish thing. The problem that I had with the speaking Spanish thing was that there was no real point to it. It was basically pandering. It was like, hey guys, I'm part of your team because I can speak Spanish. But really what it was, oh, I practiced saying this one phrase really, really long and hard. So was it Beto that spoke Spanish in his closing remarks? And basically, he said in his closing remarks, "I'm Beto O'Rourke and I'm running for the Democrat nomination," or something like that. And it was like, and that qualifies me to be president. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't qualify you to work at Cafe Rio, let alone be president. Just because you memorized something in your debate prep. Good grief. If you're going to say something in Spanish, you should say something impactful. You should say something so that after the debate, everybody goes that doesn't speak Spanish is going to go, well, what was it? What was it that he said? And then they read what he said and they go, oh, I wish that I could speak Spanish so that I knew what he said when he said it, so that I could have felt the impact of that thing. But they didn't. And so it just ends up being pandering. And I don't think that it's, I could be wrong. I don't have the stats, but I would suspect that it's not very effective pandering because, again, politics is the art of getting more people on your side. What is this huge group of people that you get on your team when you speak Spanish? I'm not so sure that one's a good trade-off. Jay Constant, man, what volatility with Bitcoin is. Oh yeah, we can talk about Bitcoin in a bit. I never thought I'd see a day where race and gender were the most important things to everyone. Yeah, did you notice that when Julian Castro spoke, and he really tried to be the social justice warrior candidate, that really resonated with the Democrats there, don't you think? It was really interesting. And like the thing that was really like perplexing to me, I don't know if I say perplexing. I mean, I'm a Republican. So to me, it's like he says this a certain thing and I'm like, this is just silly. But then they're like, oh yes, he made a very good point that needed to be pointed out, was when he said, when we talk about the abortion debate, we need to talk about trans people too. What the hell? What? Abortion is an important issue for transgender people? What? It's just like, man, where do you guys get this stuff from? It's just absolutely like the clown world when you say things like that, and they love it. The transgender thing that he interjected was a total non sequitur. It totally was. I thought that it totally was, but they ate it up. Don't you? Like the audience ate that up. I was like, it was so weird. Here's the thing. So when I look at the debate, part of the way that I look at it is like, I think that some people, they want everybody to like them. But I think one of the things that you can look at, one of the indicators that you can look at that can be really important and more helpful is who doesn't like that person? Who doesn't like that thing, right? So like if I'm looking at a game, general example, a new game comes out and there's a particular person who is really into RPGs, and he plays this new shooter game and he absolutely hates it. Okay, I'm a competitive arcade shooter kind of guy. So if the RPG guy doesn't like it, that says that there's probably the things about that game that I'm going to like because I'm the competitive shooter guy and he doesn't like those elements, right? So in the Democrat debate, I look at it as like, okay, what do I not like? Because I'm a Republican and the things that I don't like are probably going to be the things that the Democrats do like and attract them to it. So I ask myself, well, looking here at the debate, who do I not like the most? Well, Bill de Blasio. Okay, but I don't like Bill de Blasio because he's just annoying and really just a grating character. And that's just in body language, and everybody's going to feel that way. Okay, so who's next? And I come to Julian Castro. A lot of the things that Julian Castro said really rubbed me the wrong way. And I go, well, why? And I can go into it from like a policy perspective, like I just did. But from like an emotional perspective, I can't really justify it. And why is that? Because I think that I'm experiencing cognitive dissonance in that respect. I think that I don't like it because the way that he presents it is convincing and effective. And then you look at the Democrat reaction to it. They really liked what he said. That's why I say that Julian Castro probably helped himself the most in that debate. Bum-ba-bum-ba-dum. Democrat politicians aren't rampaging left on their own. They're just following digital media trends. I think you might be right. They think Twitter represents the broader electorate, and even for Democrats, it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. I think that's why Joe Biden is doing so well, because Joe Biden is following the standard, traditional political playbook of Democrats. He's trying to hold the same positions that he's always had. A good example of that was the abortion thing, where he said, I still support that federal funds shouldn't be used to support abortions. And all of the far left people on Reddit will hate that, but that's always been his position. And because the larger electorate really doesn't reflect what you see people online saying, it's effective for him. I think Twitter represents a broader electorate, and even for Democrats, it doesn't. It doesn't. You're right. Well, I mean, I think that more Democrats are on the internet than Republicans, and from my stats that I've seen. But the problem isn't that they're not out there. It's that the broader electorate tends to not post, right? Discussion on the internet is so, I'm a very disagreeable person, right? I love to argue on the internet, but most people aren't like that. And those people, they kind of avoid it, right? So when you're going and you're reading comments on the internet, you're only getting one type of personality. It's just never going to be indicative of the way that people really think. And more Democrats are allowed on the internet than Republicans, sure. I think that if you really pulled down the stats and really dissected it, it would probably be something like 55-45. But the problem is that the Democrats use that 5 to 10% edge to completely shut out the Republicans, because the Republicans think, okay, we're on Reddit. And so the Republicans try to use Reddit the way that Reddit's supposed to use. I read something, I like it, I upvote it. Democrats, they go, oh, this is a way for me to control people politically. Everything that I disagree with political, downvote. And so then all of the conservative content gets hidden, even though they only have a 5% edge in people. And so you end up with this thing where like really, statistically, 45-55 is pretty even, isn't it? That's really quite an even number of people that hold the opinion. But when you look at it on the internet, you think that that minority opinion, there's hardly anybody actually believes that. Only crazy people believe that. Okay, so anyways, I think we've talked about the Democrat debate enough for now. Maybe we'll talk about it again later if we got other people or there's other questions. I'm just looking at this action. This move up that we've had to new highs is not particularly inspiring to me. We haven't moved a whole lot, and it looks like they're going to wait for the equity indexes. I think that the equity indexes might sell. I can see the aces going. But when I'm looking here, hold on. Do I see what I need to see? Not quite yet, but I might go short here soon. Anyways, okay, so Swarmus asks, do you think this is it for Bitcoin? We're seeing lower highs and lower lows over the past 24 hours. So it's a little bit too early for me to say. My gut says yes. But, like the key technical levels that I would need to see in order to guarantee that things flip around, I'm not seeing. So, like really for this to turn into a real dumpster fire in Bitcoin, they'd probably need to get below 10,000 probably. That's the point at which you got so many people that are now losing money that people start to panic. He says 29, 26 would have been better. Out with a loss, get back in better again when it drops. Just looked at price. Bitcoin's price movement has been very strong. No media attention as much as before. Yeah, so I've been talking a lot anymore. This move is just not normal, quite frankly. And even the what is the why did the ZB sell so much there? I'm still seeing that the Treasuries don't want to let it move. I think we're okay. Anyways, even when you look at this bubble, I think that the way that it happened is a little suspicious. I hope Panic FOMO will collapse Bitcoin. Where's Mt. Gox when you need him? Right. It's just like, so the thing that I thought was weird was I was watching, I've been sitting here on my computer because I'm working from home, and I was working on work stuff. And then I looked over at my Twitter and I saw that, Bitcoin was falling apart and everybody was saying that Coinbase was like down. Well, I opened up my tape and I got the feed just fine. And I know that Coinbase put a lot of effort into making sure that they had the capacity to handle, big moves like that. And I don't think that move was bigger than the stuff that happened in 2017. So why does Coinbase go down? Well, so now we get into the conspiracy theory stuff. And something that I found really interesting was Bitfinex. This guy that he claims that Bitfinex is manipulating the markets. He called over a week ago that Bitcoin would probably move up to 1,300 because that was where all of the shorts are from. And so they're going to liquidate everybody first, and then they're going to transfer their money off exchange and try and cash in. And people pointed out that there was some very big transactions coming off of their exchange to unknown wallets. And I don't know if they then moved that money over to Coinbase and took profits. But when I was watching the tape on Coinbase, it was insane. It was, oh my gosh. There was 50 lots battling it up, and they were moving up $100 and back just like that. Like there was block orders buying up huge sections of orders both directions. So it was like some big whales were battling each other there. I'd never seen anything like it. And so to see Coinbase go down for no reason, and then this huge sell came in, I think is incredibly suspicious. Incredibly suspicious. And you know, just the fact that this whole run has been driven by Tether and all that sort of stuff is just like The other thing that I thought was about this move that I thought was a little suspicious. If you come over here and look at the chart, here was the big sell, and here they did a lot of stuff, and then they actually came and made another move lower. But then, you know, an hour afterwards, there was like a dead cat bounce that retraced almost the whole thing. Almost the whole thing. Now, of course, overnight, then they pushed it a lower, but it was crazy that they were able to come back up. There was actually more selling on Coinbase than there was buying, and price moved up. It was like a real dead cat bounce. I just thought that whole thing was kind of like that. It looked to me like that somebody really, really cared about not letting it get below a certain price, and that they were trying to save it in vain. Swarmus, I heard some people said the Coinbase being down caused the dip because people thought it got hacked. Well, I definitely saw people saying things like that it was hacked, or, you know, or at least speculating that it was, like, what's going on. A friend has 20K in Tether. I think he is nuts. Oh, are you serious? I would really like to hear him trying to get a redemption and hearing if there's anything weird. Right? Let's trade serious assets. Well, I have a position in the E-mini, but I'm thinking that I'm going to cut it off here because I don't want to be in on the open. I got a short at 29.2650. I'm too lazy to hit the buy button. I don't know. If today ends up being a buy, then the question is why? Yeah, I didn't realize how close we are to the open. Yeah, I'm hoping that I get an out here. No. The way that the inside on the micro futures works is kind of interesting, because me putting 2 orders in there actually does make a difference, I think, sometimes. Stop asking why. I don't know. The action in the E-mini, I think, is just a little bizarre right now is all. Can you explain how you can use RSI to make some prediction in the future when you have time? Well, so I don't use RSI very often, or at least not anymore. But RSI does a very good job at showing when something has overextended itself. So what you look for is there's like the 20 line and the 80 line. And in Bitcoin, you could probably even look at 10 and 90. And then when the asset gets to those lines, you can try doing a mean reversion trade, is the way that I would try doing with RSI. But RSI on its own is probably not good enough to have a really good probability on your trades and everything. So you'd probably need to combine it with other indicators to confirm, especially volume, to confirm that that's what's going on, is the way that I would do it. Tether was 1.04 yesterday, now it's 1.02. So you're saying some people are selling it for other assets. I don't know. The thing that weirds me out is that the people on the Bitcoin subreddit can give these numbers about how much Tether is out there and how much Bitfinex/Tether is like supposedly in debt and how much money they would need to make on this run and everything like that. I was like, got a lot of people watching this morning. What are your favorite indicators? Which one do you trust the most? Well, so the indicator that I would watch and trust the most is volume. All right, volume matters the most, and any indicator that doesn't factor in volume is going to be suspect. All right. Anything that's based purely on price, like Bollinger Bands is probably a really good example. It's going to be really hard to make money on. Okay. But some of the indicators that I have used that I've found are a little bit better in futures. One is ADX, especially on a daily basis, does a very good job at telling you what kind of a market we are in and what's going on. So ADX is a trend indicator, and it tells you how much trend we're in. So if we're having a lot of trend, then you can try more level break trades and that sort of a thing. So, and it does a good job at telling you, what the trend is in situations where you might not notice that that's what's happening. So that's why I like that one. Another one that is pretty good if you're looking for more of an oscillator is the CCI. CCI does a pretty good job there. But when you look at my charts, okay, most of the things that I actually use are based on volume. So for instance, I have the volume weighted average price with the first, second, and third standard deviation lines from that average price. That's an indicator based primarily on volume. I have cumulative delta, which is basically all market buys minus all market sells. This is level 2 changes, which is, even more fundamental than volume. This one is cumulative delta per tick, which basically attempts to do cumulative delta but make adjustments for when we tick up or down. Again, a volume-based indicator. I am messing this one here on the E-mini, this rock volatility. That was also something that I helped John make yesterday, and I kind of wanted it on a chart to see what it does or if there's anything to it, but I'm not convinced. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So those are the indicators that I have on my chart. Well, I tell you what, I really wanted to short Treasuries when they got out there up to the highs when they were at 25, but I said there's been some trend and it's probably not a good idea to try and fight against the trend like that. But now that we've come back, I think that there is enough fuzziness now that we can probably try making another trade. I don't know if the correct trade is to go short here. Probably wait for 15 minutes and see what happens, but oh yes, so Jay Costin said, I'm thinking the tether bubble will burst soon, at least I hope. I don't know, man. I'm starting to think that the only thing that's going to bring tether back to reality is government action. You know what I mean? Sorry, I was opening up the Twitch just to check on things. Okay, here's the E-mini. My little thing that shows me how many viewers in OBS doesn't match up with what I see on YouTube. So I was checking to see are there a lot more people watching on Twitch than normal? Used to have like 3 people on Twitch all the time. And then I think we kind of lost them, or they came over to YouTube. But now we're getting back to 3. And I think that Twitch is actually faster. So, I don't know. Probably, though, we could probably have like 100 viewers on Twitch, and it probably wouldn't matter. I don't think that you would pick up that many more people just from browsing. Because of the competition we're up against. Okay, well, the initial impulse in the E-mini was buying. And Treasuries came back quite a bit. I was looking for a real overextension in Treasuries, and then, when they were moving up, I was thinking maybe this was the thing where you'll get a strong move up and then there will be an iceberg or something and they'll stop and they'll move down. But that didn't happen. It kind of seems like they just kind of lost interest and came back down. And now I'm looking here at 22.5, 23, and I'm seeing, kind of the interest in spoofing activity again, which makes me think that they might come back up again. And I think I would rather be short. So I think I'm going to wait and see if there's a move up. And then maybe try and get short. But I'm also keeping an eye on the E-mini to see if maybe I take a trade over there. I would like to take one. I think that there should be some good opportunity on the short side, but we need to wait for this open thing to work itself out first. Tether must be trumped. He thinks, I tried to learn stocks, but I don't really understand your numbers, but we'll look into it. And greetings from Holland. Oh, you're from Holland. That's good. Well, so I feel like I explain this every day, but I never grow tired of it. The blue columns are people looking to buy. The red column are people looking to sell. So those are resting orders on the exchange. And the two inside columns are basically market orders hitting those. So what I'm trying to do is look at, is there unusual interest or behavior at specific prices in terms of who's looking to buy and sell and who actually buys and sells. I try to fight a hidden gem stock like Amazon, maybe something to do with AI or electricity. Yeah, I haven't done a whole lot of stock analysis lately, although it's something that I'm slowly getting more into. But the way that I would look at it, Jay, is you want to manage a portfolio. So I would sit down and say, in this market, what are the industries that the market conditions are most favorable to? So if we're going to have some rate cuts, what are the industries that tend to do the best when we're going into rate cuts? I'll tell you one industry that does tend to do pretty good is healthcare. Healthcare and technology are pretty good stocks. So yeah, I would pick a sector, and then once I've picked a sector, then you start looking through everything and you compare them. Okay, you compare their actual performance. Well, what's that? Some news hit here? No, I don't know. Forex Live says watch for USD selling on month-end rebalancing. Why do we call people from Holland Dutch? Where does the word Dutch come from? Oh, I used to know the answer to this question, but I don't remember anymore. I think that they don't really use the word Holland anymore either, right? They call it the Netherlands is the official name. I wonder why the E-mini is moving up like that. Yeah, okay, that made sense to Jay Constant. Yeah. A book that I would check out is One Up on Wall Street. That's required reading. You want to trade stocks. Check that one out. That'll help you a lot. I don't know. I want to short the E-mini, but can't short that. Netherlands sounds like that place you just can't scratch. Oh, man. My back is really messed up today. Excuse me. Did you hear that? My chest pop when I did that? Okay, now it's turning. So you see that in the 10-year, they're doing the same thing that they were doing yesterday, where it kind of just falls for no reason. And they call the folks in Pennsylvania Dutch, even though they are from Germany. I didn't know that. I don't understand any of these numbers. What are we looking at? Aaron Gomez, oh, you just missed the explanation. Well, I can't explain it again. No, we'll explain it again. The blue column are resting orders on the exchange to buy. The red column is resting orders on the exchange to sell. And the two columns in between are market orders buying and selling into those resting orders. So I'm looking for action at specific prices. Right now, though, what it is telling me is they're not giving you that today. I think the correct thing to do here is let it come back up a little bit and try and go short in the treasuries. I'm still not sure what the E-mini is going to do. I did kind of see or suspected when they were turning up there, but I wasn't, well, it was 7:35, so I suppose that maybe I could have taken it if I was really confident in it, but I'd rather wait until 7:45. And even if I had tried going for it, I don't think that I would have been able to catch a very good spot, so. But I'm just looking that, like at 29.30, there was some profit taking. They sold that pretty hard. I think the Pennsylvania Dutch are called that Dutch because of Deutsch with an accent. Oh, like Germany is Deutschland. Damn, I think you're right. That makes sense. I want to say I think you're right. I don't really know, but that makes sense to me. My numbers here on the, which one is the flip? Yes. There we go. Now it's correct. In that 30-year. The absorption looks pretty negative now in the 10-year. I'm going to minimize this because I want to be able to see the ZF2. Oh, there's some crazy absorption going on down here. That's interesting. It kind of looks to me like the 10-year is just being squeezed. You know what I mean? Because it kind of falls for no reason. Like there's not like a clear volume reason or anything like that. In fact, if anything, it's saying that they should probably turn here. But then I'm not going to be surprised if they don't. With small banks or portfolios, what would you suggest for beginners to get into? First, stock, Forex, futures, or something else? Well, it really depends. So the problem with stocks, although it's a little bit different now that you've got, what is it? Robinhood. Now that you have Robinhood, things are a little bit different. But to really make money in stocks, you need to have quite a bit of cash, $2,000, and manage a portfolio over a long period of time. And that's what's going to be the most profitable for most people. But if you're really interested in markets and you want to day trade, then that's when I would go into futures, because futures provides you the most opportunities to learn. It's the most fair, and it's the most profitable because of tax advantages and things like that. So my recommendation is to go to No BS Day Trading and go and get his ebook, and he kind of explains all the reasons why. And then start watching the 10-year if you want to get into day trading. And then, if you do good there, then you can kind of branch out into other stuff. The E-mini's behaving quite... Its behavior is quite interesting here, I think. There's the 10-year. They go lower again. 21 is the open. Is futures like stock, and you can have to have a minimum balance legally for day trading? So the way that it works is you have to put a margin. So they'll give you day trading margin, which means that you can only have it open during the day and you have to close it overnight. You have to close your positions before the end of the day. So like for the 10-year, you have to have $500 in margin per contract to trade it. So that would mean if you had $515, they would let you buy. And then if you lost one tick, you would be okay. But if you lost two ticks, you would be below $500 in margin, and then your broker would liquidate your position. And that's how that works. So, because one tick is worth $15. So yeah, you get some crazy margin with futures, which is why they're so good for day trading. Okay. Still not quite long enough. So what's a tick? A tick is the minimum amount that a product can move. So you see here on my DOM, 127.21 even, 127.21 half. So that the 10-year goes in increments of 1/64. So the change between the 21 and 21 half, that's one tick. That's the minimum amount that it can move. And that minimum amount that it can move is worth $15.625. Don't worry about that math. It doesn't matter. It's not as complicated as you think. Over here, it's one tick is worth like what, 125, right? So we tend to do the math like that. Okay, I think that the average range is 16 ticks. I can make 10 and then 32. And you add it all up, and that's how you go. So we tend to talk in ticks and futures because of that. No pattern day trading rules is one of the best reasons for futures. I can trade ES futures and futures options as many times as I want, but if you trade SPX options, you have to have 25K in equity. Yes. Oh, yes. I totally forgot about that. In fact, most of those brokers, you have to have 25K for them to even let you trade margin, right? And that's the other thing, is to day pattern trading. You have to have so much money to make to do well in those sorts of things. And then, if you happen to get caught in some sort of crazy mover, you can lose a lot. And you're always trading something that you don't completely understand, because it's usually some stock that nobody's ever heard of before. It just happens to be breaking out that day. You just need to respect the size of the contract and understand the volatility. Yeah, exactly. Well, this Futures Trader 71 has a lot of really good webinars on Futures.io, and they cover kind of the risk management side of things. Um, I don't worry about it too much when I'm talking to you guys on the stream because most of you starters are going to start with one contract anyways, and as much money as you have is probably just as much money as you're going to get. And so unfortunately most of you are just going to be uncapitalized, and that's okay. You can still try. um hmm. Getting quite a delta divergence here in the E-mini. But the way that it's behaving, I could take a short now. The way that it's behaving, though, I think it gives me... I'm not so sure that I can just short it here. I don't know. They made a new high. They made a new high, but that might not have been a positive thing if there's not a lot of action. And I did see when we were there up at the top, they were not that enamored with it. I don't know. I'm a little hesitant here. I'm noticing that the mini has slowed down, though, is why I'm taking this trade. Treasuries have popped up and there's a big order at 20.5, but it may not. They look like they're having a trouble getting much more than the 22, so I don't know. We're all quiet now and focused. By the way, I missed saying this earlier, but Uzi did say he got 4 ticks of upside in CB. Close enough for government work. So he got out before we had this move down, which is a good job. I'm wondering if I had taken the shorts up at 25, would I be sitting here trying to get more out of it? Because I think I should be taking the profit in that. I don't know how far back this is going to come. I do think that there's more downside, but the reason that I'm skeptical that there's going to be a ton more downside in the treasuries is because I feel like that I would be holding on and hoping for more. So I was starting to get a little bit of favorable excursion, but there was some buy-in there. But my indicators are still saying that there's a lack of interest in equities at this price. I think they need to have another sell. And there's some iceberging at 29.30 now on the offer side. Paul posts a bunch of shit emojis. Poop. Well, if this goes and breaks a new high really easy, I'm probably going to be like, poop. I am kind of against the momentum here, aren't I? but it is the trade that I wanted to make. I may be doing it in the wrong location. Things have picked up a little bit. Oh, so there is a new high. Hmm. Hmm. So a lot of retail action right there at 29.31. But the level 2 action is still unusually dead. Look at that. Hmm. Okay, that was an odd move. Trump demands India reverse unacceptable tariffs on U.S. goods ahead of G20 talks. Oh, I didn't see that anywhere. Where is he getting that from? That was 2 minutes ago, so probably not any breaking news here. I'm happy about them coming back to my price, but they still have no. They're not really going down through, are they? I'm just getting a lot of unusually low level 2 activity. The battle I'm having in my mind right now is I think that this is okay, but at the same time, I'm feeling like that to get what I was looking for, they should have already have moved down a lot more. Look at the treasuries. 21.5 was the spot to have gone short. Wow. And the big order that they had at 20.5 is just completely gone. No, this is not good action. Hmm. There's a little bit too much equity treasury correlation here. Hmm. Yeah. I'm looking at this like they look like they're squeezing us. I would like to cut it loose, but it's probably not going to do it before. It's probably not going to give me much of a spot before my stop. I'm curious how you feel about Libra and how you think it will affect crypto in the future. Um, so super speculative comments here, but I don't think that there's going to be that much crossover in the ecosystems because I think that most people that are interested in cryptocurrencies, that the last thing that they want to do is give Facebook control of their money. So I think there's a lot of talk about it helping people get into crypto and things like that. It probably not. So the impact on cryptos at large is probably not going to be significant, in my opinion. Thank you. I'm glad that you found that interesting. Mm, when it was happening and people were saying, well, Bitcoin is up because of Libra, I was like, that's a bad reason for Bitcoin to be up, was what I was thinking. See, treasuries continue to push down. That's not a good thing for equities, but treasuries have a hard time pushing down unless equities were doing okay. There was a bubble there in the E-mini. Do you ever watch VIX or VX futures? I would if I could, but I can't. I don't get that data. While I agree company ownership over crypto is probably the exact opposite reason to buy crypto, I feel like if Facebook does it right and you can actually buy things through Facebook's payment system now, then it could shed a whole new light on crypto. Yeah, well, so the problem is with it, that line of thinking is I think that it shines a whole new light on blockchain, but not on cryptocurrencies, right? Because Facebook's is not what I would term a cryptocurrency, right? Because it's a stable coin. So it's like people will use it to buy. But it's not going to directly interject into the ecosystem, you know? So then at that point, it kind of becomes a competitor. You get what I mean? And this trade over here is distracting me. Makes sense, yeah. Doesn't mean that Libra coin won't do well. It's just I don't think that that's a reason to go out and buy Bitcoin. Because if it does do well, then that's a competitor to Bitcoin. That's not a good thing. That kind of goes back into my theory about, what is the cause of this pump? Well, Tether, I think, is a really good theory. But let's just assume the best for a second and say that all of that Tether is backed and that it's coming from people, putting money into it. Then where's all that money coming from? Well, it must be from rich guys. And I think that what you might have happening here is a bunch of really rich guys that don't really know a whole lot about cryptocurrencies or markets in general, just speculating, which isn't a really a great, sometimes you got to look at who are you trading with, and who do you really want to have on your side trading with you? You know what I mean? And if this is all just rich guys FOMOing in because they thought that Libra made it a good reason to buy Bitcoin or something like that, then when this starts falling apart, you get like what we had yesterday where, man, the back and forth and the volume was just nuts. And then whichever way it breaks out, if they break out lower below 10K, it's going to be a real rush. Well, I like how they came back. I like the short-term top that they made. They need to get below 29.29 though. Come on. Like that's as far as you can get. This ledge in the profile is being really stubborn. There you go. Come on now. So it bothers me that I'm still seeing relatively light level 2 activity. Bitcoin is the Dane Craig of trading. Jojo says the spoos looks like it's topping out short term to me. Yeah. That bubble, whenever you get a bubble in the E-mini, you gotta pay attention. Yeah. And they'll go through them for sure, but man, it's a really, really good signal in the E-mini. You gotta pay attention to those. So what I'm noticing right now is treasuries are up, like 3-4 ticks, mostly because the E-mini kind of topped out there. And the E-mini hasn't gone like super crazy, but I'm just not getting much of a good read at all in the 10-year. It's probably better to just not be trading it. E-mini did make a lower low. Let's see now. They're going to try and bust through 29, 30, 25. We'll see how the market reacts to that. Oh, we had pending home sales, so I forgot about that. What was the result of that? 1.1 versus an expected 1.1. And then natural gas storage at 8:30. Meh. Hmm. Well, the E-minis buying now. Or sorry, the treasuries are buying now. It's not transparent enough to be mixed with futures. What do you mean? Can you elaborate on that comment? It's kind of interesting. The market has been pretty uneventful for. We have a good number of viewers today, but nothing. We haven't had anything super exciting for you guys. Well, there's a good move. There was some sweeping right there, and by the sellers. And look at the treasuries really buying up there. Bitcoin not being offered by futures brokers. Oh, sure. Yeah. To be like a futures broker and offer you to be able to buy and sell Bitcoin directly to Coinbase or something like that. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I tell you what, this, where did it go? Do I still have it up? Oh, I think I closed it. The tensor chart that you guys gave me yesterday is really nice for Bitcoin. That's probably the way that I would do it if I was going to day trade Bitcoin, which I would not recommend, but I digress. Come on. Said it. I am starting to catch a little bit of divergence on the short side, so there might be some traders that they could stop out if they can push it down. Day trade Ripple? Why Ripple? Is there something about the way that behaves that you think is good for day trading? Because the reason why I don't recommend day trading Bitcoin is because some whale can just come out of nowhere and completely blow you out. The reason that treasuries are so good to trade is that there's so much liquidity. Sure, big traders can move it around, but they can't move it around without everybody seeing it and doing stuff. Oh, not at all. I was just joking. Oh, okay. I don't know. They had a good sell there, and now they're back to my price again. Treasuries sure came back up, though. Oh, Ripple is the second meme crypto besides Dodge? Why do you say that? Why can't the second meme crypto be garlic coin? Come on, guys. So did you know the one of the things they're talking about on the garlic coin subreddit? Somebody went over and they bought like it was like $5 worth of garlic coin or something like that. It was like some unbelievably small amount. And it was there wasn't very much garlic coin out there on offer, so he had to pay up for it. And so garlic coin price rose like 80% and was like the biggest gainer on some people's lists and stuff like that. Can you believe that? Garlic coin is probably the most pumpable asset I have ever seen. If you put $1,000 into that thing, I think you would want to have about a bunch of garlic coin already. But if you pumped $1,000 into garlic coin, that thing would shoot off, and you would probably get so many new people following in after you. It would easy pump and dump. I'm surprised that it hasn't happened yet. Not that I am advocating that somebody do that. That would be illegal. You'd probably get away with it, but it would be illegal. But it looks very pumpable. And I'm surprised that somebody hasn't decided to try and make a move on it. Garlic coin, what the fuck, right? Listen, garlic coin is the shittiest of shit coins. That's why I like it. It's the shittiest, okay? It was a dumb idea to begin with, just a coin based on garlic. It came out at the height of the cryptocurrency craze. And the launch was a complete disaster, right? Because they came out, they said that they were going to do an airdrop, and they screwed up the airdrop. And then when they did do the airdrop, the amount that they dropped the people was pathetic. And then they found out that somebody had pre-mined some of it. And then they found out that there was a bot on the network, so they had to change the algorithm. And then when they changed the algorithm, you couldn't mine it with AMD cards. So it is really a troubled, shittiest of shit coins. But that's what makes it so great. Because you could literally go out and if you were smart about it and slow, you could mine it. If you mined a lot, that'd probably be the best way to do it. But you could go out and you could accumulate yourself quite a bit of Bitcoin, and then, man, when somebody pumps it, I'm telling you, or let's say that they got on another exchange, because somebody was saying that they were going to put their effort into trying to get it on another exchange. If they got it on another exchange, ooh, that would be super nice. This is super nice. So I still like the garlic coin, even though it's a shit coin and there's really no, there's no activity, no, what are we looking for? Like applications behind it. None of that stuff. It's just a YOLO shit coin. And I enjoy it. Every time that I see a post on garlic coin, it brings a smile to my face, boys. CB stayed bullish above 155 even, and then Lucas says, I think it might run a little higher, but not by much though, based on context and the day's action. I'd buy a shitload of shitcoin, right? Thank you. Go and buy a shitload of garlic coin, guys. I can't even gamble garlic exchange on the site I use. They allow you to gamble Doge. Yeah, there was a website that you could gamble garlic on for a while, but I don't think it's up anymore. One of the big problems that happened in Garlic Coin was that the wallet that we got was like an Electron wallet, and then there was now there's I forget who makes it, but there's another wallet now that works. But it's not very easy to use. Like it's like base level. Like when I do stuff in Garlic Coin, I'm typing the commands in right now. So a lot of people used a website as their wallet instead. And the website just one day decided to shut down without warning or whatever. So anybody that was using that as their, and probably not a lot of people, but anybody that was, casual people, I guess, it's gone. Treasuries came back quite a bit there, didn't they? Interest started to increase when we were moving down, but I'm still detecting notes of not, lower interest. Small hints of low interest here and there. I'd keep it around 06. If it keeps failing 06 from this point, I'd look for a deeper turn down. I don't know. This is a tough call. This is a really tough market, isn't it? I made like $14 to $22 a day gambling ETC. Really? Wait, how does the gambling work? How do you actually make money from that gambling? Like you gambling it with like sports bets or something like that? Or at worst, rangy bullshit for the rest of the day, right? I don't know. Here, my take on it right now is that I kind of think that equity markets tried to make a move up there, and markets weren't really very interested in it. And I still see some longs that need to puke. So they may puke, it may not be spectacular, but I think that there might be a little bit more downside. They seem to be able to get back down here fairly easily. I would think that if somebody tried that they could push it out. It's more of a dice rolling game. Okay, so I finally got my fill on a pretty nice sweep. The open was 29, 26, 25, so if they get below the open, then it's game on. Sellers are trying to cap 06. Yes, I can see that iceberg there. Do you see now that that iceberg has shown up? Now some large orders have shown up at both 154.30 and 155.08. Though the one at 08 pulled a little bit. Look, the orders are changing. So ZB is sensing something here. What is it? Ooh, we got to be careful because the spread for the day. Oh, this is tough. The spread has been steepening. You see that? Steepening. But big but. And not big butts, and I can't. No. It's steepening, but they're basically just retracing to where they were. So that spread might change, but because of that, we're seeing more selling in ZB than we are in the other instruments because of the spread. So that may partially explain why we're seeing all this stuff in the treasuries, or in all that kind of moving things around in ZB. Lots of level 2, yeah. You can bet you bet super low amounts and you say like less than 19 and you throw it on auto increase the bet by 25 times every loss and every win reset the bet and just run it 24/7. Really? Yeah, that was my spread indicator. There's some demand up here. It looks like the E-mini is, well, the E-mini is now below the overnight VWAP, or right at the overnight VWAP. So if they can get below 29.26, I think things could heat up. But that's the big warning that tells you that that's maybe slightly less likely to happen. I'm short since 29.29.75. Not on road like I thought I would be. Oh. Are you trading like on mobile, Ace? He can't help himself. That's how addicted. That's how deep Ace is in. Sellers hit back at 06. I'm just noticing here the level 2 is flipping back and forth in ZB. There's not really a significant absorption to speak of. There is in the 10-year. They've really been buying it. Oh, he says no. Okay. False accusations, fake news. There's a pretty big order there at 24 now in the 10-year. I'm wondering, are they gonna... they're trying to hold it there? I would have to leave, but I ended up not having to leave the house. Oh, okay. E-mini's going really slow there, but look at that little trickle of orders into 29, 29, 25. Sounds like an iceberg there holding price. Oof. Then somebody pushed it down. Are all those lots gonna puke? Guess not. Uzi thinks they're gonna run over 07. Yeah, probably because this 10-year is gonna matter. Okay, so they pulled the order at 24. They pulled the order at 24, but there is some buying coming in the equities. This might have been a significant recovery in the buyers. They prevented it from getting below the open. want to buy it, but it's so high. I think you could buy it here because of that order pulling. It might be only good for a few though. Paul, we get it. You have a Beagle. Shut up. Shut up. You know, it makes me wonder what would prompt somebody to come into basically a trading stream and post poop emojis. Is pump and dump illegal on cryptos or only stocks? That is a legally ambiguous question. So it hasn't been tested. I don't think that anybody has been convicted for pumping and dumping cryptos. The law enforcement officers claim that they have jurisdiction over that, but I don't think that a court has that. My information may be old, but last time I looked into this, it was no court had established that yet. Is the bird closer to the mic now? I don't know, but my microphone is behaving differently, and I don't know what I changed. I think that I need to change some of my mic settings. Maybe we'll do that after this. So the thing is normally if I'm not saying anything, okay, that time the compressor completely killed it out. But does the bird have his own mic? We could do that. We could set up bird cam. That's what we should do. I should just put both birds in the same cage. And you need to get Kaze out of the other cage. And then see, I don't like that. What's going on here? This is interesting action. I'm having a hard time making sense of this. I'm thinking that maybe that's a signal that I should be trying to get out, though. Okay. Oh, switch screens. Thank you. Someone spoofed a big 1400 contract bid in ZB. Oh, what price was that at? Oh, I can see the big iceberg. Doesn't really make sense with the action that we're seeing in the E-mini though, does it? It seems like Treasuries are doing their own thing because of this action now. It was there for like 2 seconds. Yeah, I can't even see it on my Vista, but there was a big iceberg at 07, 950. He says short 29.29. Well, I'm still seeing divergence on the equities. It might not be big enough to make a difference, but they made it. They almost equaled the high in cumulative delta, but we're quite a bit lower in price. Someone trying to provide liquidity for a big seller but came too early? I don't know. So it's curious. The E-mini, they came up, they came back down. Activity is still less. So auctioning still seems to suggest short to me. You can see it on the Vista chart just barely if you drop your interval to 1. Yeah, I think it's there. I just can't see it because of the bubbles. He says didn't end up filled at 29.29. Well, I mean, maybe he's filled now. But usually if it goes beyond him like that, he just closes it, right? Had this for a while. $8.28. This is a trade that I hate. And I didn't intend to rhyme there. Now I'm in at 29.29. All right. Well, I'm with you, buddy. I'm having a hard time here because what I'm seeing and the things that I wanted to trade based on today and my trading plan and everything says short. It seems to be doing that, but it just is having a really hard time staying below my entry price. It seems like maybe there's a little bit of buying, longer term buying for some reason, but that we're also stuck in a meat grinder day. Like a real meat grinder day, and I'm quite surprised given I thought that the move yesterday in Treasuries was significant. So to see it doing what it's doing today is a little disappointing, to say the least. What do we have tomorrow in news-wise? Canadian GDP, core PCE, price index, personal spending, personal income. Those are significant numbers. So that could be part of why treasuries are doing what they're doing. And this is kind of starting to look like maybe a cup and handle sort of a thing. Treasuries are still selling. They failed all that crazy action in CB. So you ever find that bizarre? It's like all that crazy stuff happens up there up top, and then it comes back so easily. Spoofing. above me again. If you believe in market theory and prices of epoch, would you be long or short? That's a good question. So, generally speaking, if you want to trade market profile, you're better trying to go from the edges of the profile. So, like, if you wanted to go short, you're better off going short from like 29, 30, 50. He throws computer through window. I'm certainly getting frustrated here. Anyways, auction theory. But then at VWAP is an interesting one because there can be some interesting trades from the VWAP with like the VWAP bounce and all that sort of a stuff. You tend to see equal interest at the VWAP. But what I'm looking at here, the thing that's making me... So when you look over here, here's my level 2 indicator. And you can see the red areas are periods where there was less interest, and the white areas are areas of unusually high interest. And you can see that it's giving me a lot of red. And it was giving me a lot of red, especially around here. So whenever I get red, that means they're bored with price and that they might turn. So what do I see? They tried to move higher, didn't go. Tried to move lower, didn't go. But the cumulative delta through the whole thing is buying. See that? Overall, it's buying. It's more clear over here. Overall, it's buying. Even though after these moves, they're not all that excited by the market. And it's curious because the Treasuries certainly got interested for a while there, but they chilled out too. A little bit of an aggressive push down there. Long 29, 30, 25. That was a significant sell there. What did you just do, Ace? What did you just... As soon as he says he does something and then... British. That is bad luck, dude. Took a couple of ticks so I can pay. Oh, you already got out. Jesse Livermore said the real money is made in waiting. Well, he's right. But I think that when he said the real money is made in waiting, he was talking about waiting several days, several weeks, several months for your stock to finally take off, you know. I've been waiting an hour? How long has it been? 48 minutes, so almost an hour. In trading time, that's not really that significant. That sell, though, was very significant. Considering the time of day and all that jazz, that was an unusual sell. It's going up this whole time, and then you get just a little bit, and then Gadoosh at 8:30. It's kind of weird. Free press. New York Times admits it sends stories to the U.S. government for approval before publication. Range day, take profit, be happy. Yeah, I think you're right. Mm, so I'm just seeing here right now, for instance, pretty strong move down. Interest still low. What's this ruling that I'm seeing coming through? Supreme Court rules against Trump over bid to add citizenship question to the 2020 census. Unexpected. Who was the conservative that ruled against him? So I think maybe I have a unique look at that census thing, but the whole concern with it was that it was intended to manipulate the census, as I think the question that they were asking. It seems to me that it was put in there to discourage some people from answering the census or whatever. It's information that we really need to have, but like, how are you going to get that information? You can't get that information, right? But just the fact that putting that question in there could affect the census should be a big red flag that something's wrong, because that shouldn't be the case, right? But I suppose they probably made the right decision there. I had a bear put vertical on at the close yesterday, and I left it overnight, and I closed it at 10:50 a.m. last night. I don't know. Big sell. They would maybe try and retrace it back to 29, 30, 50. Oh, it just disappeared. Strike that was 30. Can you option? What were you putting the spreads in though? Was it they just like spy? Market's still a little too quiet. Treasuries maybe gonna turn up. Oh. Oh, maybe. Just in case something crazy. At the money vertical on the work weekly. Yes. Okay. So you were doing options on futures. FFA test pilots find another problem, further delaying return of Boeing 737 MAX. Oh dear. I'm actually seeing relatively large numbers trade here when it ticks up and down in the E-mini. It's just really slow. So like there at 29, 28, 50, there's a 400 iceberg. Haven't seen 1,000 today, have we? It kind of looks like the big players just aren't there.